Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeyed. Yes, I can say that. We've been gone for a while, running our usual summer repeats. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeyed. He is John Steppe with the Gazette, Iowa beat writer. John joins us, as you know, regularly throughout the year. So we thought, hey, we got a lot of news to talk about this early summer, late spring, early summer. Actually, it's not officially summer until next week on the calendar. We record this on Wednesday afternoon, June 12th. And John, thanks for joining me. Everything going well with you, or the usual summer? It's not the usual summer, just kind of hang out. There's some stuff going on, isn't there?
Yeah, enough to keep me on my toes really so far this summer, but I like it that way. That's my
Yeah,
preference.
exactly right. And as we always say, great to see each other again and get rolling. So let's get to it. Caitlin Clark, not on the Olympics. I've spoken volumes on this on my other shows. Just say that I'm not in agreement with the decision. It's leading every news show. It's leading every sports show. And there are so many things going on, so many moving parts. I also don't want to bury the other part of the league, John, which isn't just Caitlin not in the Olympics. Her Indiana Fever career had some great games, lack of consistency. It's not a good team, obviously, because they've had back-to-back first picks in the WNBA draft. So I don't think I'm going out on a limb there. But I want you to fill in a few blanks because you've got a great perspective on how this is kind of lining up and laying out, not just with Caitlin in the Olympics, but with the Indiana Fever and moving forward. So, and then we'll talk about Jan Jensen taking over for Lisa Bluder. She had her first practice with the Hawkeyes as head coach. That was yesterday on Tuesday, June 11th. Again, as we record this on Wednesday afternoon, June 12th. So take some time here and kind of stretch out the Caitlin Clark saga for us, if you would, please, John.
Yeah, the good news for Caitlin Clark is there's a lot of silver linings really out of this kind of unfortunate result for her, where, of course, yes, it'd be preferable to be an Olympian, but there are a lot of silver linings here. The biggest thing is going to be it's me 3 weeks of rest, really, for her. And she's been playing a lot of meaningful basketball since November. So this is going to give her a chance to really have the most extended period of rest that she's had. And the other thing too is it's good for the Fever. The Fever have
Yep.
been a struggling team. They really need her. And if she can really get to be at her best, because she's been good, no doubt about it. I'm certainly not saying that she's not. But when you look at her 3-point percentage being 30th right now in the WNBA, she can be at a higher level than that, undoubtedly. And I think these 3 weeks will help her get to that point because she finally has a chance to catch her breath. And
Yeah.
she's competing against people who have had a much, much shorter amount of time of having to play meaningful basketball and really competitive basketball than however many months this would be. I tried not to get into math in school and it keeps on coming back to me, but she's basically been playing for 9 months
Yeah.
and that's a tough position to be in. So the silver lining of this whole thing is I think this is going to give her some really much needed rest and a chance to reset and catch her breath. But that's enough about that. There are plenty of opinions out there. I won't
Right.
wade into what they should or shouldn't do, and I won't wade through the 11 items of criteria or something or whatever it is. But
Yeah, to your point, I mean, we all have our opinions. The national pundits have, newsmakers have, former athletes have, as you've mentioned. You and I have our opinions, and we shared those off the air with each other. We don't need to bring them on the air in the interest of time. Number one today, because we have so many other things to get to, and it is such a polarizing topic. We'll let it play out. But I'll say this to you as well. And Caitlin has taken, a lot of culpability for her high rate of turnovers too. And she's working on that. So yeah, some good, some not so good, kind of what you expected from a rookie, but not as good a team as some had hoped, the Fever. But my goodness, John, the parting comment with Caitlin I'll make is I love the interest of the game, the fans. I mean, a visiting crowd when they got thumped the other night by the Connecticut Sun, and the visiting crowd is chanting, "We want Caitlin." So that luster has not fallen off yet. She still packs them in, my friend.
yeah, it's exciting to see as somebody that's been watching the NBA for,
Yes.
good number of years to be able to see this spotlight get shined on the league, because I think a lot of people are going to be tuning in because of Caitlin, and then they see, oh man, that person can really play too. And I think that's a great opportunity for the league here. And really, you can't stress enough how much Caitlin Clark is doing to help the WNBA and really shine a spotlight on what has been some really good basketball across the league, where there's only 12 WNBA teams, but you have the talent to have 24 teams. So you just look at how talented this league is. I really hope a lot of the people who are finally tuning in stay tuned in, because it's been a lot of fun to watch.
But John, we promised each other we'd move forward because there's so much else to get to, and not that CC, Caitlin Clark and everything, and the Olympics and the Fever WNBA isn't worthy of that. We'll have plenty of time on other shows to follow up. So you and I are going to let it play out a little bit, and we'll commentate more on it as we go. Let's get to Jan Jensen. I think it's a great story. As you know, besides having Caitlin Clark on this show in the past, and I've re-aired it many times, it's really neat to see Caitlin once, and then I've re-aired it for the last couple of years. So it's been interesting to see her, as you mentioned, her progress and process in the last year and a half since I had a full half-hour sit-down with her. Lisa Bluder, on the other hand, I've spoken with a couple of different times, and brought in Jan Jensen and Jenny Fitzgerald at the end of this last year's show, and we re-aired it multiple times, obviously. John, I'll say this to you. When I interviewed them in December of 2023, the end of the interview, as you remember, the end of the show, I said to all three, Jan, Lisa, and Jenny, do we see any end in sight here? Or are we just going to go until the key doesn't turn the lock, or the passcode or the pass key doesn't work? And Lisa, all three of them laughed and said, oh, yeah, we're here for the duration. Now, a lot changed, John, in the last 6 months, 7 months since Lisa retired when I talked to her in December. Understandably, back-to-back championship appearances. Every award ceremony Caitlin went to, Lisa was there, as Jan and Jenny were. The WNBA draft. It's a lot of travel. I'm not saying that the coaches don't know that when they get into it, because they recruit, John. But I really thought, if you're going to step off the train or off the bus, if you're Lisa Bluder, what a better time. Jan is in her middle 50s, been her assistant. They've been together as player and coach 1 year at Drake, and then coaches for 30 plus years, 32 years, as Lisa told me this year. She and Jan and Jenny. I got to tell you, if I'm Lisa Bluder, is there a better time to step off? And John, you always want to leave a place better than you found it. I think all those things, you can check those boxes for Lisa Bluder. Of course, I'm bummed out for the Hawkeye program, but I'm ecstatic for Lisa. And I think Jan's going to do a great job, because Jenny resigned as well. But, we know Abby Stampa's going to be there. All the players, John, you and I talked about this off the air. I want you to highlight this. Everybody's coming back, and all the recruits stayed from Lisa to Jan. How great is that?
Yeah, that's something that I think, with the continuity of Iowa women's basketball, it's easy to take for granted, but that is something really incredible. And you don't see this happen very often when you look across the country, to have this much stability, this much continuity between a coaching change. As soon as Lisa retired, the door was open for players to go into the portal. They could have taken their talents wherever. The portal windows have an exception for head coaching changes, but they were able to quickly, I will add too, not just retain everybody, but quickly retain the entire roster. You're looking at everybody on the 2024-25 roster. You've got every incoming recruit that has committed to Iowa, is staying committed to Iowa. That really is a remarkable feat, where it's like Jan Jensen already has her first win as head coach. Yes. It doesn't go that way in the record book, but figuratively, that was a huge win that you really can't underscore enough, how important it is to be able to retain this entire roster, especially in the transfer portal era, and retain all of the recruits, because you've got some pretty highly touted recruits in there too. I'm sure plenty of other coaches would have been happy if Addie Deal opened up her recruitment, but no, she stayed committed to Iowa, as did everyone else. So that's really fantastic news. And of course, Jan Jensen has been one of the highest regarded assistant coaches in college basketball. Yes. If she wanted to be a head coach, she could have been a head coach a while ago. She sticks around, stays loyal to Iowa, and now is getting her opportunity. And what a great opportunity it is. Of course, no Caitlin Clark. Unfortunately, no cloning possible there. But getting Lucy Olson is a very good get there. And this is still a team that can have a lot of success. And I'll be looking forward to seeing what the 2024-25 season has in store, although we still got another 5 or so months before we get too far into that.
I love that you brought up Lucy Olson, and let's not forget, yes, they lose a lot. And Kate Martin, man, starting at times for the back-to-back world champion Las Vegas Aces. And she and Megan Gustafson, former Hawkeye great, are playing a lot of minutes. Cedar Rapids for Marion native Kia Stokes, who went to UConn, but 3 Iowa gals there getting it done for the Aces. But to your point, yes, they lost a lot. Caitlin Clark, Kate Martin. But let's not forget Hannah Stuelke, along with Lucy Olson, as you mentioned, a big transfer. And also, let's not forget Sid Falter coming back. So the uprising of Sid's abilities in playing time. Wow, what a postseason she had, an end of season. Same with Hannah Stuelke. So a lot of cool stuff going on with Hawkeye women's basketball. But all our best, of course, wish to Lisa Bluder, Jan Jensen staying, and then Jenny Fitzgerald in retirement as well. Here's John Steppe. I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. We'll be back with more in just a few moments. Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There's our buddy John Steppe on the screen. We've been away for a few weeks, running a lot of re-airs and repeats, so thanks for coming back to us. Again, you see all of John's handiwork at the bottom of the screen along with mine. Find all of John's good work there. He and his fellow Gazette reporters. John, a beat writer for the Iowa Hawkeyes. John, I got to tell you, it's always fun to talk to you. We'll get into more detail about this with the opening of the new Hawkeye Wrestling Complex. What a great facility that is. Of course, congrats to Beth Getz on another great hire, hiring Jen Llewellyn as the new gymnastics coach from the University of Washington, and now a Big Ten competitor. UW, Jen Llewellyn leaving UW and coming to the University of Iowa, head gymnastics coach. A lot of former Hawkeyes or state of Iowa pitchers in Major League Baseball or professional baseball. A lot of cool stuff happening with Hellerball. Not the season they wanted this year, but a lot of guys from just a handful of years ago getting it done, or from the state of Iowa as well. And then, of course, the congrats to Pat Angerer, our buddy who joined us last year on this show. Pat, a former Hawkeye linebacking great, former linebacking great for the Indianapolis Colts, now joining Gary Dolphin in the booth for radio, being an analyst, a color analyst, in place of Ed Podolak, who retired, as we all know. Ed will still be doing some pregame duties, but Pat Angerer and Pat and Dolph in the radio booth. That'll be pretty cool. But John, what I really wanted to talk to you about was Phil Steele's usual preseason. And yeah, I know it's the preseason. We get a little overhyped, I think, sometimes, especially, the 30 years plus that Phil Steele's been doing his preseason previews and his lists and reports. But pretty cool stuff anyway to get excited about, with Nick Jackson being 4th team preseason All-American, Logan Jones, center on the offensive side of the ball, third team. So Jay Higgins is running mate at linebacker. Nick Jackson getting some love too, but Jay Higgins, big time credit and love. Preseason again, I warn everybody, defensive player of the year from Phil Steele. So, boy, you talk about a guy who bided his time, and you and I have talked about this on a lot of shows, John. Jay Higgins, I couldn't be happier, and I hope it plays out the way Phil Steele thinks it will in the preseason anyway.
Yeah, it's really remarkable because nobody was really talking about Jay Higgins like this a year ago. Everyone was thinking, oh man, that's a tough job for Jay Higgins to do. Okay, he's waited his chance, we'll see. But that is a tough job in terms of taking over for Jack Campbell. Like, you're looking and you're seeing him, he was a first-round pick for the Detroit Lions, and you're having to replace him. That's a tall task, but Jay Higgins did an exceedingly good job at it. And you're going to, I think, continue to see, this is kind of the start of the preseason accolades. Again, nobody hangs up preseason banners. So if you think somebody got snubbed or whatever, give it a few months and we'll see what the postseason accolades are. Those are the ones that matter. But I do think Jay Higgins will get plenty of preseason and postseason too, but plenty of preseason accolades this summer, just because I think he turned a lot of heads this past season with how quickly he stepped into this. And this was his first year as the starting Mike linebacker. Now he's got another year in that role. And watch out. I think it could be another special season for him, of course, as long as he stays healthy, kind of the asterisk with everything in football season. But then you also have Logan Jones getting preseason accolades from Phil Steele, Nick Jackson. Logan Jones, somebody who was thrown into a tough spot back in 2022, but now, like a couple other guys on the offensive line, you're talking about a third-year starter. They also have a couple of fourth-year starters. So you're no surprise to see Logan Jones getting some accolades as well. And Nick Jackson, he's like the dictionary definition. If you look up in the college football dictionary, what a veteran college football player is. It's pretty much Nick Jackson. He gets the NCAA waiver
Yeah.
to play another year because of the shortened 2022 season at Virginia, because of that unfortunate tragedy. So he gets that extra year. Really, you have a wealth of experience coming back on this defense. And somebody that a year ago with Nick Jackson, he didn't even have that spring. So now he has a full offseason to work with Phil Parker, Seth Wallace, etc. So certainly plenty of talent, especially on that defensive side, as evident by Phil Steele's preseason teams. And we'll hear plenty of other preseason All-America and all Big Ten teams and all of that in the months to come until August 31st, season opener.
Yeah, what a season, as you mentioned, for Higgins. Set a team record for most tackles in a season, led the Big Ten in tackles, third in the country. So then you add all that and say, wow, the expectations are high. And now he's preseason defensive player of the year. He and Jackson, what a tandem that's going to be. And I'm really glad I mentioned Logan Jones, but you highlighted him because that was a tough role for him to step into. And all he's done is just kept getting better and better and try to lead that line through. So let you and I talk some recruiting as we close out here.
A lot of competitors for Iose Epenesa, 5-star defensive lineman. 5 stars measured by 24/7. Some other services have him as a 4-star. But regardless, a very talented defensive prospect. AJ Epenesa, his older brother, was certainly a very talented prospect too, coming into Iowa. And Iose is very impressive as well. He's got a whole bunch of official visits coming. He's already done Penn State, Missouri, and most recently Iowa. Iowa had their chance to impress him last weekend. Sounds like they did a good job after talking to his father. You can check out that full story on thegazette.com. But still 2 more official visits to go, and then we'll see if he decides to do any more visits or if he's ready to commit. But wherever he goes, they're certainly getting quite the football player with him, and this would really be a centerpiece of the 2025 class if Iowa can get him.
John, great to always see you, and thank you for your great coverage as always, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon. He is John Steppe with the Gazette, Iowa Hawkeye beat writer. John, thanks so much. We'll talk with you soon.
Thanks. Always a pleasure.
Truly my pleasure as well. You're welcome. So for John Steppe, I'm Dave O'Hara. We got one more segment left. It'll be with my new production partner and business partner, Greg Kajewski with BettorEdge. Looking forward to bringing Greg on camera and introducing you viewers to Greg. So back with more Hawkeye in just a few moments. Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. There he is, our man, Greg Kajewski. You heard me mention him earlier in the program. Of course, we record this on Wednesday afternoon, June 12th. Greg joins me, is my production partner. We have a lot of other content partnerships. BettorEdge, BettorEdge.com, @BettorEdge on social. Greg, welcome aboard. Great to see you on screen with me and talking about BettorEdge and our affiliation. So if you would for me, Greg, first of all, again, thanks for joining us. Talk to us about BettorEdge, the founding story. What makes you different than other sports betting apps? I love the story, but share it with the viewers if you would for us, please.
Yeah, definitely. And first, thanks for having myself. I'm excited about the future where we can take this, where we can go together. So my co-founder actually went to the University of Iowa. I was a huge Hawk growing up, ended up going to Northern Iowa, but we had met 10 years ago, and then he came to me about 5 years ago with this idea, really focused on some of the innovation in, the financial markets and Robinhood and Webull and all these apps that made users' experiences better. And we said, hey, why aren't we seeing that happen with sports books and different sports betting, platforms? Every time you're betting in a sports book, you have to win 53% of the time to be able to take home money. And so what if technology allowed for a better way? If Dave wants to bet the Hawkeyes and somebody else wants to bet Illinois, you should be able to put both those out, connect the two of you, and make more money. So that really was the founding idea behind BettorEdge. We pitched that to Sportradar, which is a technology company here, data company in Minnesota, and ended up actually winning Innovation Challenge. And that really kind of started us down the path of building the company. And that was, 5 years ago now, and we've had 3 or 4 years in market.
I love it, and I'm smiling because I left out the most important part, folks. Viewers, Greg, like me, is a Northeast Iowa native. Greg from O-Line knows our buddy on this show, the voice of the Iowa Hawkeyes baseball, Heller Ball, John Leo from O-Line, Iowa as well. So Greg comes back naturally when he mentions Northeast Iowa. So the app is available in, am I right, 45, 46 states now? Iowa and all the surrounding states, of course, free to download and still growing. So, Greg, a lot of cool alignments that you work with charitable organizations. Why it works so well with working with me, because obviously Fight with Flash Foundation and the Stead Family Children's Hospital at the University of Iowa. But you do great work with Jason Zucker and the Give 16 charity, and a former NHL player. He's also a partner in your groups. Let's talk a little bit about our alignment and synergies between BettorEdge, Hawkeyed, and some of the other principals and charities we work with. Please, Greg.
Yeah, definitely. So I recall, you give us a call asking about BettorEdge, and a lot of it was rooted around John Leo and what you're doing with the Hawkeyed show. And very quickly it was apparent that you guys care a lot about charities with
Yes.
Fight for Flash, and so do we. So since our platform connects 2 users for a bet, and you're making more money by using our platform, we actually expose that to our users and say, congrats, through using BettorEdge, you just made another $4, another $5. Thank you. Do you want to donate that back to the charity of the month, or your preferred charity? So we ended up giving over $10,000 to Chad Greenway's Lead the Way Foundation in the first year. And then we've added on additional
that
charities.
name sounds familiar to Hawkeye fans. Former Hawkeye great and Minnesota Viking great. Continue. I had to jump in with that.
Absolutely. So brought Jason Zucker on as well. He's done a ton of great things for charitable University of Minnesota Children's Hospital and M Health Fairview and whatnot. So he's been able to really not only take his NHL career and platform, but then give it back to great causes and do well with it. So bringing him on board was an absolute no-brainer. That's parlayed into a lot of other opportunities and unique things as well that we're going to continue to build on and leverage with our foundation.
You and I will have a lot of other content opportunities, and I love the fact that we're going to not just talk Hawkeye sports, but a lot of the Midwest region sports. And as you mentioned, I love the head-to-head from viewer to viewer and alleviating the middleman. And I've worked with other sports betting partners, but this is such a unique opportunity. And as you mentioned, all the other synergy and things that both of our companies, yours and mine, have together, it just, like you said, it just seemed to be a match made in heaven. And let's continue with that. And yeah, besides Fight with Flash Foundation and other charities we work with, as you mentioned, the Give 16, so many, and there are so many other worthwhile causes that, we also have done Tater Tough with the Schaefers out of Williamsburg, Iowa, and Tate, God rest his soul. So a lot of great work that, like you, we've worked with many charities, and all of them are worthwhile, and we try to give as much time and energy as we can. But Greg, it causes me to think, and again, folks, Greg Kajewski joining me with BettorEdge and my new production partner and business partners and a lot of endeavors. You'll be having much more opportunities to see Greg and me, and Greg will be joining me a lot on this program at the ending segment to talk about some opportunities once we get into more games besides your baseball specials you're offering now for the MLB. But hey, we're getting close to the NFL and college football getting rolled out here. A lot of things happening. WNBA, as I know you guys cover or handle as well. But Greg, let's talk about a few things. You're too humble to say this, so I'll say it for you. Rising Star of the Year SBC Award winners. You've got a lot of other awards, voted Best Startup to Invest in and Fire Award winner, the Mini Inno Award. Talk a little bit about that. I got to goad you into it because I know you're too humble, but we got to do a little bragging here now, Greg. Come on.
Yeah. We've had a lot of traction, a lot of success. So, even just this last month, we saved our community over $100,000 by using BettorEdge, which is,
Wow.
really cool to give back. It's awesome when you start to see great organizations and conferences recognize that hard work. SBC is, as respected in sports betting as you can get. So to be able to bring back Rising Star of the Year for the team and ultimately kind of our community was just an amazing kind of thing to build upon. So I think we're doing something right. Come check out and sign up and give us a follow and dive into it. And we'll talk more about, what makes it so interesting, what makes it so unique of a platform, but excited to, bring it into the state of Iowa and let people learn more about it and play around and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I love it. You guys are based in the Minneapolis area, so we're going to do a lot of stuff via Zoom. But I want to promise you, viewers, we're still going to get Carver Hawkeye Arena, still going to do our interviews there. Still got a lot of interviews to catch up with Rick Heller on after another successful run. Unfortunately, not to the NCAA tournaments this year for Hello Ball and Iowa baseball, but we'll still be doing our features interviews from Carver Hawkeye Arena with players, coaches, media personalities, athletic directors. So, Greg, we may be logging a few road miles, but we're still going to do less in studio, but more Carver Hawkeye Arena and Zoom because we're really going to expand this platform. Social media, big hit as well. Greg, I'm so excited for what we have in front of us and the fact that I get to do all this with a fellow Iowan. You went to UNI, but you're a Hawkeye through and through. You know that. I mean, heck, I'm a Truman State. formerly Northeast Missouri State alum. But, we're Iowa guys, natives through and through. Again, you're from Northeast Iowa and O-line. I'm from Northeast Iowa in the Postal Castelia area. So let's keep that symmetry going, my friend. Thank you so much. Look forward to having you on camera. But obviously on the other end of the camera, man, we got a lot to get to, Greg, and I can't wait. This was a great start. Thank you.
Thank you.
Truly my pleasure. For Greg Kajewski, John Steppe, I'm Dave O'Hara, BettorEdge. Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. That's all from us. Thanks to all of you.